Democrats have been totally silent after the anarchists and other radicals have been attacking our historic monuments and statues. So we want to know what they really think. Why are they hiding? So we reached out to all 47 Democrats in the Senate, the 2 independents in there, as well as Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Here was our question. Do you support changing the names of any monuments, colleges, cities, or states named after George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, or James Madison? If not, please explain why. Guess how many responded? 1. Senator Joe Manchin, and he didn't even answer the question. This isn't about Confederate statues, and never was. It's about destroying our culture and our history, and the Democrat Party is just happy to let it all happen if it means defeating Donald Trump. Here to respond to the silence from his colleagues is Missouri Senator Josh Hawley. Senator, it shouldn't be a hard question to answer. It's kind of a yes or no deal with a short explanation. But they all cowed and decided to hide. Reaction.
You know, I can't say that I'm all surprised, Laura, because right now in the United States Senate, you've got the Senate Democrats watching the statues of Washington and Ulysses S. Grant, now Lincoln, come down. And at the same time, they're trying to force through renaming all of our military bases and war memorials for fallen soldiers, taking those down behind closed doors without any public discussion. This is their agenda. This doesn't have anything to do with pursuing justice or unifying the country. This is all about sheer political gain, political calculation, and trying to satisfy the cancel culture that they are pushing forward. And I tell you what, Laura, it's a mistake. It's dividing the country. It's the wrong thing to do.
Now, Senator Hawley, in my angle, I just laid out how the Democrats are using these extremists as a proxy campaign for Biden. And that, that's why they're allowing them to do what they're doing and not commenting on it, because they think, for now at least, it's helping them. Do you see that in the future changing at all?
Oh, I think that Americans are not going to want to see our history erased wholesale. I mean, when you're pulling down statues of Ulysses S. Grant, when you're taking down statues of Theodore Roosevelt, now protesters in D.C. say they're going to pull down statues of Abraham Lincoln. I just don't think that this is where the American people are. I mean, we can have a conversation as a country about, for instance, military bases, how we name them, how we do it. We ought to have that conversation in public. We ought to have that together like we would as a family. We ought to do it out in the open, which is, by the way, what I propose. I've introduced legislation that would stop the Democrats' mandatory backdoor, backroom renaming of all of these bases and taking down all of these memorials to fallen soldiers, and would say, let's have a conversation out in the open. Let's involve everybody. Let's do it in public. Let's be reasonable about this. But that's not what they want, Laura, and I think that I think they're going to find that the American people are tired of the cancel culture. They're tired of the woke mob, and they want to hold on to who we are together and to find common ground.
Well, I think they want an end to this madness, and so far, a lot of your colleagues seem to be hiding as well. They'll issue a Twitter statement every now and then, but I haven't seen a lot of leadership from many Republicans on the Hill other than you on this. And I know you're offering your legislation to try to combat what Senator Warren is doing to rush the renaming of all these bases. But Senator Nancy Pelosi, I got to get to this because she accused Republicans of trying to, quote, get away with murder with their policing reform bill. And today, Nancy just doubled down on that. I just played the soundbite. Chuck Schumer now has backed her. Watch.
Do you think it was appropriate for Speaker Pelosi to say that Republicans are, quote, getting away with murder?
Pelosi's answered that question herself, and what she said was fine with me.
What she said is, I'm not apologizing, and that's what I believe, despite the fact that the legislation was offered by Senator Tim Scott, African-American senator. They don't want any even debate on this, Senator Hawley.
Yeah, and last week, Laura, when Senator Scott put forward his proposal, the Democrats took to the Senate floor and they called it a token. Which, Senator Scott pointed out is a word that, is sometimes used about African Americans and not in a very nice way. They know exactly what they're doing. They're fine playing the race baiting game when it's against Republicans. They're fine using that kind of language as it relates to Senator Scott, which is absolutely abhorrent and ridiculous. And this is all about politics. They want what they think is an issue that they can take to, I guess, the people who they think are a key part of their voting coalition, which is this woke mob and the cancel cancel culture, which these Democrats are pushing forward and embracing. And I say again, Laura, I think the American people are tired of this. I think they want to have a conversation together like adults, and they want to find common ground, and that's what we should be trying to do.
Senator Hawley, just finally and very quickly, your reaction to the appeals court in D.C. Reversing that lower court's decision to kind of put off dismissing the Flynn case. Big victory for General Flynn today. Is someone going to finally pay for what happened to General Flynn?
Well, I tell you what, Laura, we need to get to the bottom of it. I mean, Congress, the United States Senate has a job to do here, the Judiciary Committee, in figuring out how in the world this case, this Flynn case, where you had the FBI, the career FBI folks say, there's nothing here, we should move on, and then the Obama White House gets involved, and all of a sudden they're going gangbusters after Flynn. Same thing with the FISA court, where you got the FBI trying to go lying to the FISA court to get a warrant to tap the Donald Trump presidential campaign in the middle of an election. I mean, what is going on here? What is going on at the FBI? What was the Obama White House's involvement? These are the things we need to find out, and people do need to be held accountable.
All right, Senator Hawley, great to see you tonight. Thanks so much.
Thank you.